if anybody missed how to install the actions, let me, sources, color actions. Let me just show you how to do it.
Could we have Body Shop open right now?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
But before we do that, I just want to show anyone who might have missed it how to do the. But do you see how I've got a folder open here, and I've got all these action. I've already got them all installed, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. You can either like drag and drop it into the actions panel, and it shows up at the bottom. And then you have your actions here. Or if you want, I'm just going to delete that because I have them all in here anyway. Or if you want, you can do load actions, and then just navigate to where the heck did I put? My computer is a mess as far as how I organize things. It can make sense to me, but sometimes I even confuse myself. So I have, let's see, Sims 2, resources, color actions, and what's Pooglets? So like natural colors, and you just load that, and it'll show up there. Again, I have. Okay. So let's get started. The hair that I chose, which it's one that I already retextured. I did that on purpose, so I have all of my recolors made so I can show you binning and stuff like that. I'm just gonna redo it live for you guys so you can see my whole process. So create genetics and go to hair. Yep. And it's this one. It's Nusi Stardust converted from Sims 3 by Rented Space. I put a link. I should have put a link in the thread in laboratory to download just the base and the mesh, because there was an extra texture in it for some reason. It was making the files like 2 megabytes. It was unnecessarily big, so I fixed that. I was going to show you how to do that, but it involves SimPE and it might confuse people. So I just did it and uploaded it for you guys to see. So what you're going to do is you're going to export, give your project a name. So I'm just going to call it Stardust. And it will export it.
So this is the start of it. Okay. I had to reload my Body Shop.
And this here is all ages, so you don't have to worry about removing any ages. If it doesn't have like the child and toddler ages, it'll show up as a Maxis hair. But you can remove that. I should have linked to the Cat of Evil Genius's hair binner, because I do want to show you how I bin the hairs. Let me see if I can definitely pull up a link from Mod the Sims for that, because it is like the best thing in the world, and it makes binning it so easy. I don't know how anyone before that, honestly, but I should have.
I have a question. If I forgot to add the hair to downloads, could I add it while Body Shop's open? Do I have to restart Body Shop to see it?
You have to restart it, yeah.
Oh, dang it. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so here is the hair binner. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to put that in. How do I get back?
Throw it in Toolshed.
In Toolshed? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and paste it in the text thread for the laboratory, but throw it in Toolshed too.
Okay, so I pasted it in Toolshed, and I'm going to paste it right here. Okay. That should be good. Now, how do I get back to... okay, cool. All right. So if you had the extra ages, they would show up as the default Maxis hair, and then when you use the hair binner, you can just choose to remove those ages. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to Documents, EA Games, The Sims 2, Projects, and you should see a folder with your project name. Mine is Stardust, so I open that. and it will show you. Let me do. Oops. I want to view medium icons. It just makes it easier to see. You have every age has a hair texture and an alpha. The alpha is a black and white map that tells you that tells the game where to on the mesh to show the texture. So it creates, instead of big chunks, like it creates like the individual hairs. The other one is just a small little blank square. We just ignore that. That's like the scalp or something. But what you're going to want to do is you whatever folder you're using to keep your project files in, you want to take the I would just take the adult ones, just the AF hair. You take the hair texture and the alpha, and you can just copy that to there.
It's the same texture for all 6 age groups.
It is, yep. Some older hairs have like a million different textures, but if you're just starting out, you don't want to do those anyway. And a lot of those, the mapping is crazy, like those curves and everything. This one, there's a tiny bit of curvature to the bottom of the pieces, and that's why I chose this one, so I can show you what to do with that, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing really to worry about. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open, let me just show you what it looks like. This is my projects folder right here. I'm going to take my hair texture. You can see it's got the blonde hair, and I'm going to open it in Photoshop. Now, I don't know why there's that piece of gray there, but that is actually covered. See, when I'm going to open the alpha as well. See how
it's blacked out on the alpha.
It's blacked out, exactly. So it doesn't show that part. So we don't even need to worry about that. Now, what I like to do first, and this is not necessary, but it's something that I've always done that makes it easier for me, is make a color map. Make each piece of the hair just a flat, separate color, so you know where on the mapping the highlights. If you need to change the highlights, you can adjust them. Like let me just I'm gonna do this quick. What I do is I make the alpha into the background into a layer. So you have a layer now. It's no longer a background. Create a new layer, put that underneath it.
Hey, Medical Pat.
Oh, yep. What'd you say?
He was
I was just
a new person.
welcoming the new people.
What? Oh, okay. New people are coming in? Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay. So now you're going to set this to multiply so that when you... Oh my God, my Photoshop is being so slow tonight. I don't know why lately I've had trouble with it. You're going to select one section of the hair because that's one piece. I'm working with the alpha now just so I know where each piece is. I'm going to fill that with pink. Because I have this on multiply, it shows through it instead of just being like a solid block. So I know what I'm doing. Like I said, this isn't necessary, but I just want to show you how I do it so I know what pieces on the texture correspond to what pieces on the actual mesh.
So I'm sorry, that's a single layer and you're setting it to multiply and then just fill each section in with colors, or?
Yeah, the alpha, the black and white part, you want to set that to multiply, and then you want to make a layer underneath it where you fill it with your colors.
Okay, interesting. That I did not know.
I can definitely see how that's helpful.
This is completely not necessary, but I'm showing it because with more complicated mapping, it's very helpful. Like I think the very first hair I ever retextured was an XM Sims hair, It was really old, and it was actually very difficult. I don't know why I chose that as my first hair, but the color mapping helped me. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna delete the alpha layer because you don't need it. You're gonna flatten, go to layer, flatten image, and you now have a color map. So now save it as, I would just keep it in your a copy in your project folder just so you have it, and just save it as color map or whatever. And then now save it again in your projects folder. Go to Documents, EA Games, The Sims 2, Projects, your project name. And you want to be able to view the hair texture and the color map and flip back and forth between them. So what you want to do is you want to save it over another age, like save it over your young adult, because the body isn't going to change of the sim. So you'll be able to, like, it won't change to like a child and between a child and an adult or something like that. So now when you...
So we're saving over the BMP for another age group?
What'd you say?
We're saving over the BMP for another age group?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So make sure you save over the hair texture and not the alpha. You can do it either for the young adult or the elder. I wouldn't do it for the younger ages because the body will change shape and it'll be kind of distracting. So now you go back to Body Shop and you refresh. And see, your young adult age has all these crazy colors. Now you know, see this...
That's handy. That lets you know
the
exactly...
The majority of the hair is that pink, that bright pink area. So if you look at well, what I do next is I open the alpha again. I think this is it. 1 second. Yep. Now, this is my base texture that this was Rented Space's texture that they put on the mesh. So I'm gonna take my color map. I'm gonna hit duplicate and go to the base texture. So now you have the color map on top of the base texture. And you go to the alpha and you do the same thing. You duplicate to the base texture. Now what you want to do is take the alpha and do what you did before, put it on multiply. And now you can see where in the hair, where on the mapping each piece is.
That's cool.
When you retexture that pink section, that is going to go on this part of the hair. So it makes it easier if you, especially if you're using semi-realistic textures and you need to change where the highlights are. So okay, that.
I'm sorry. Can you just? I didn't quite catch the duplicate.
What did you say?
So I didn't quite catch the duplicate. Where on the menu is that?
Oh, what you do is you right-click on the layer, and you get a little menu, and it says Duplicate Layer. And then you click that, and it says Destination, it says Document, and you choose what your base texture was.
Oh, okay.
The names all look the same, but yeah. And then it'll send it over there.
And then you change the opacity or the fill to multiply?
Change the blend mode, this thing in the left, on the left side, upper left.
Okay.
Multiply. So it'll, yeah. Well, again, that color mapping is not necessary, but it's handy if you need it to adjust highlights, so you know, like, oh, what piece is this on? Why is this? I don't like where this highlight is. I want to change it, so you know exactly what piece it's on. Okay, so next what you're going to do is you're going to open up whatever your textures that you want to use are. I'm using IO's edits of Pooklets version 3 textures. There should be, like I said, I linked some different textures in the laboratory. So there's a couple different ones here. One one of them has softer highlights, and that's the one I tend to use. So I'm going to open that in Photoshop. Okay. I'm going to close these other files so it's not cluttering up my window. So now you're going to look at your base and see where the highlights are. What I do is I just follow the highlights on the original texture, which I almost feel like is kind of cheating, but it's not, because if you downloaded the mesh, the original hair directly from the creator, like if I were to download, well, this was created for Sims 3, but say it was a hair created for Sims 2 by Nusi. If I were to get it from Nusi, it would have a texture on it with highlights anyway. So I would have just going to follow those highlights, and if I have to adjust them, I can adjust them. If you're using Maxis Match textures, highlights are not that much of an issue, because it's basically just a flat texture. I think the ones that I recommended, SimGroups textures, I think those have a little bit of a highlight. So you may have to, it just depends on what you're using, how strong the highlights are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying the texture over this. I'm going to go to the texture that I'm using. I'm going to select just like a chunk of it like that. I'm going to hit Control-C for copy. Go back to the base. Control-V for paste. Okay, now you see it's too big. The highlights aren't going to match up. It's just going to, so you need to shrink it. So you hit Control-T for transform and hold down Shift so it maintains the ratio of height to width.
Aspect ratio.
And then shrink it to a smaller size, and you can hold it next to that piece so you can line up the highlights. Okay, see how they're exactly where the highlights are on that piece? Okay, now you see that isn't long enough to cover this, obviously. So you're going to need to do more. But if you just paste more on it, you'd have to resize it, and you have to blend it somehow so that it's seamless. So what I do is I right-click on the piece that I just pasted and scaled, and I do duplicate layer, and you just hit OK. So now you have another one here. What I do is I keep it exactly where it was, and I move it down so that the highlight matches the highlight on the original. Now, you have a big line there, and it looks terrible, right? So what you want to do is you want to blend it with I don't know if you know how to use layer masks, but a layer mask is kind of like the same thing as the alpha for the hair. The black tells it where to not show the texture, and the white tells it where to show it. I'm going to go down to this icon here at the bottom of my layers panel. It's like a square with a circle in it, and that adds a layer mask. And now the layer mask is all white, which means the entire thing is showing. But what I want to do is make it so that it only shows part of it and it blends in with the other piece. So I'm going to take under the paint bucket, you go to gradient tool. You make sure that you're up in the upper left corner. Make sure that you select linear gradient, which is the first thing. Make sure it should already be black to white, because those are the default colors for a mask, because a mask is only grayscale. Now move the cursor to where the top of your second piece is. See where the line is that you don't want. Now you're going to press Shift so that you hold the cursor in a straight line, and you're going to click and drag to the highlight, and then let go and see how it blends.
Wow, that's slick.
It's It's kind of hard to explain why this works because you kind of have to have a knowledge of Photoshop and how to use layer masks. But this is just what I've found easiest to do. Now, see, that still isn't long enough to cover that piece on the right-hand side. So what I do is just take the layer that has the mask on it, so it has a soft edge to blend in to the rest of it already. You don't have to do the gradient again. And you do duplicate layer, gives you another one. And then
it creates the same layer with the mask and everything.
It's exactly right. And so hold shift so that it stays in exactly like the same, so it doesn't, you're dragging it straight down instead of it going off to the left or the right. So hold shift, click, and drag it and line it up with the next highlight. And then you just do that again until you get as much as you need. Now, what I usually do is I take these layers for that piece and I hit Control G and it makes it a group. So now you can move the entire group at once. So what you want to do is you want to move it over and cover that entire piece. Now, if you take the group and you put it underneath the alpha layer, the black and white, you'll see what exactly it's going to look like.
Oh, that's slick.
What you can do at this point, if you want to check your work before you keep doing it, is you turn the color map on, and now the rest of it, only the part that you just did has the hair on it. The rest of it is the colors. Turn off the alpha layer. You kind of want to move hair over a little bit so it covers that entire pink area. Now you want to go to Layer, Flatten Image. It says discard hidden layers. Yeah, you want to just get rid of that for now. And now you want to save it. You want to go back to your, it's not in the, I have to go to Documents, EA Games, The Sims 2.
You save it over the...
You save it.
YA texture as a BMP.
The texture again. Yep. The bitmap for the adult, the very first one that shows up, the AF. So you put save. It already exists. Yes. Now when you refresh it, it will have the hair on the part that you retextured already, but it showed the parts that you haven't done yet are in the colors.
Yeah, and that looks, I don't know, it looks nicer, I guess. Like, not as, the highlights aren't as intense.
Right, that's the difference between, I think it was Pooklet's version 2 or version 3 that Rented Space used. And I'm using IO's edits, so those, the highlights on that are softer. That's why I like that particular hair texture for straight hair, because it's got just a gentle highlight. It's not like really shiny. Like back like in like 2007, 2008, the trend was like really, really shiny highlights, and that kind of faded at this point. So but I still like my hairs to be shiny because if it's just completely flat, that's what gives it the Maxis Match look, which I don't personally like in my game. So, like I said, if you're doing Maxis Match, if that's what you're doing right now, if you're using those textures, you don't really have to worry about highlights. I think, like I said, SimGroup's textures do have a little tiny bit of a highlight, so you probably want to follow the same process with those. But if you're using one that has no highlights at all in it, you don't even need to worry about that. You just lay the pieces of texture onto the base, and you're good. So, so now I want to finish that up. I only did one piece of it. So you want to go in your history and you want to go back to before you flatten the image. So now everything is back again. It's not a flat image. And this is your area that you've retextured so far. And you want to do these other pieces here. So turn off your color map. You're gonna go back to your texture and you're gonna take another chunk. You can move it. Oh no, you don't want to do that. Go back to the selection tool. You can move it around to make it different. It doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference to me. But copy and paste. Oh, see, it's underneath it right now, so it makes it a little harder to see. You want to put it at the top so you can see it. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Put a mask on it, and make sure when you do the gradient for your mask, make sure the mask is selected. Otherwise, it's gonna put it on the actual layer and not in the mask. So do that.
That's so cool.
If you drag it down too far, you see see where it ends. It's a gradient, so it gradually fades. But you don't want to pull it down too far. You don't want to expose the background. You want it to be solid texture. So now I have that piece. I group my layers.
I don't mess much with hairs at all, so I was not aware that this technique was even a thing.
I honestly don't know how I learned to do it. I learned how to retexture, like, in general, from an old thread on Goth from Pooklet. I think it was Pooklet that did it. But I think it was different because of the textures were different, that you could just layer it on top of it and then they didn't have to blend seamlessly. They already did, because they were an earlier version of their textures. So, but with this, I find that you need to blend it, and instead of like hand painting the mask, you can use a gradient and it makes it a lot more seamless. Okay, so now I have two pieces. Oh, see how, okay, you have to make sure you're covering the entire piece. See how you can still see some blue right here? That means I haven't moved it far enough. So I have to move it. Oh, you know what? Made a little bit of a mistake. Not wide enough.
It's too narrow, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Hold on. Okay, so I want to. It's because I put a mask on it to just show the area, because you don't want it to overlap into other and bleed into other areas of your texture. So now I'm gonna do this and see how it goes into the green area. You don't want that to show over the green area. So either you put a mask on the second piece, or you just put your next textures over this. Like I could just if I'm gonna do the green piece, just take this copy and paste it, and you're putting it over that anyway, so you don't really need to worry about that because it's overlapping it.
So ideally, you're trying to keep each part of the alpha as a separate texture.
As a separate piece, yeah. You
okay. Like you don't just grab the entire texture and just paste over.
No, because they're all different lengths and shapes, so you want to just keep
okay.
You want to do each one individually. So I got to turn off my color map so I can see where my highlights are going to go. So I'm going to transform that again. This one's short, so you can just start from here, and you only have to make one more. Yeah, that should cover it. And then you mask it, and you select gradient. Go down to that. I think that looks okay. Make a group. I should be able to put it over that piece there. Put it back under that. So yeah, that should be okay, I think. This is what it looks like without the alpha on top of it. You don't want to accidentally leave the alpha on top of it when you save it in the projects folder, because it'll show like black edges. You don't want that. This is just to use as a guide. Okay, so then our next one, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I might want to turn that off because that's such a small piece that I can't really see it. So, now if you look at this too, the orange and the yellow, the highlights are pretty much the same on those. So you can do those as one piece. I want to put this on top again. It might be harder. Yeah, let me just do that. Shrink that. And since the highlights are the same on the orange and yellow pieces, you can just use the same piece of texture for them both. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to make it longer. Oops. See, now that covers both. But now do you see how the bottom corner is going into this one in the corner? You don't want that. But like I said, what you're going to be putting another layer on top of it anyway, so that should cover that. So like you're going to cover that. This needs to be a little smaller because I'm just going to turn this one off for now so it doesn't get in the way. This needs to be smaller because it has two highlights. So you'll do that, and you need it to be a little bit longer. So line up the next one, put a mask on it, use the gradient tool, and that should be good. And you just move it over, make sure it covers the whole thing. And I can bring this one up. See, a little tiny bit is still showing there. So what you want to do is take your group that has those pieces in it, which is this one, group 4. See, it has it's that particular piece. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. I don't know. Oh, you know what? The top one isn't covering it. That's why. All right, I have to move this one. Oh, you know what? It isn't wide enough. Okay, so what I do if it's not wide enough is I take those two layers, which are make that one long piece. I select those two and I put duplicate layers. It'll duplicate both of them at the same time. And then you hold down Shift so it stays at the same level, and you move it over. You don't really need to do any blending vertically because it somehow blends together. So that's how I made that wider. Now you see the corner of that is bleeding into this one. So you want to select just that piece where you want the texture to show, and then hit create layer mask at the bottom where did that before. And now it makes that part disappear because it's only showing the texture in the area you selected. Okay, so now we've covered every single piece, but see how some of these have a tiny bit of curve at the bottom? You don't have to do this because the curve isn't that drastic, but I'm going to show you how to do it just in case you have one that is more curved. This first one on the right, that's group 1. So what I usually do, let me turn this off. I'm going to turn all the other groups off just so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So you want to take group 1 is that entire pink area. Now you want to just take some of it and warp it so it fits the curve. So what I find easiest to do is just merge all these layers, select them all, and hit Control E. That merges them into one layer. And then I look at my alpha again and I see where it curves at the bottom. I'm going to make sure you're in the texture, the layer where the hair texture is and not somewhere else. Select the bottom of it. Hit Control C to copy, and then Control Shift V to paste it in place. Because sometimes if you hit Control V, it puts it in a random place. So you have to do Control Shift V. Now you can't tell that it's there because that's there, but if I were to turn off this layer, you've got an extra piece here. So what I then do is I hit Control T to transform just that section that's on a separate layer. And you go up here, and this thing here is the warp tool. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Photoshop, but this is a mode under transform that you can just click and drag the direction in which you want to distort your piece of texture. So you these little squares here, you drag it, and actually let me show you what it looks like without this on top of it.
The mask kind of hides what you're doing.
Right, so you I need to actually see the alpha so I can see where the boundaries of where the texture is. But this is what you're doing. You're going like this, working the texture.
Yeah, your mic just went a little wonky, and you're very quiet now.
Oh,
did it get unplugged or something?
Oh, I thought you meant yours.
No, yours. Okay, you're better now. It just
that's
pulled
better.
away.
You're back. Like you switched the source or something.
It's just the mic on my laptop, so I have no idea what it would have been. Okay, I thought you meant yours. Okay, but as long as you can hear me now.
Yeah,
okay,
we can hear you better.
Okay, good. I put the alpha layer back on so that you can see where the ends of the hair are. So now I want to do this. Do it so that it curves along with the hair. Now you see your texture is bleeding into your blue section. You don't want that. So you want to select just the section where you want the texture to appear. Put it on your group so that everything within that group will be contained to that area you selected. Hit layer mask. Now the other areas are a little curved, but it's not that much of a big deal with this one, I don't think. I think you can just leave it. I just wanted to show you what to do if it was really curved. Maybe another time I'll do a workshop with a hair that has kind of crazy mapping, advanced texturing or something. I don't know. Maybe I can do that. Most of the hairs that are converted from Sims 3 and Sims 4, the alpha hairs that are converted from Sims 3 and 4, don't have crazy mapping. It's usually just the older ones that were created before Sims 3 even came out. Okay, so now make all your groups visible. Turn off your color map and your alpha. Like I said, don't worry about that white piece because that's going to be blacked out. So now this is your finished texture. So you're going to go to Layer, Flatten Image, discard hidden layers, yep. And you're going to save it over. Oh, I'm already in the folder. So I'm going to save it over just the first texture that's there, the adult texture. Now go back to Body Shop. And you're going to refresh. Your entire hair is now textured.
Oh, that's nice.
Looks awesome.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. And if you need to go back and adjust highlights, you can do that. You can just look at your color map and see where say I didn't like this specific highlight right here. I would go back to the color map and say, oh, that's on the red and yellow, so I need to go fix the highlights on that. But this, like I said, I followed the highlights on the original texture, so it looks fine. But it's got a completely different texture now. It's got a softer shine than this. This is the old. This is the new one. That's
really intense. Like the old one doesn't look natural at all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody has different preferences as to what they like, and that's why like the Maxis Match textures are completely flat. There's no highlights, but that works in some people's game. That's the aesthetic that some people like. So it varies no matter what you with what you use. Okay, so now we're done with the retexturing. Now it's time to recolor. For this, I usually just start a new project. Now, when you export recolors through Body Shop, it likes to put it in the catalog after the last hair that's in there. Now, I'm in my EA Games folder right now that has no other hairs in it. So if I were to export the recolors now and then put them in my other EA Games folder, see, this is my documents. I don't know if you guys know how to do this, but I have like this one. This has
Yeah, I have like 4 different games.
Yeah, yep, okay. So you do know, see, this is my play game with all my CC in it right now. This has it doesn't have everything in it because I take out the objects and build mode stuff when I run Body Shop. But normally I have all my objects and stuff in here if I'm gonna run the full game. But anyway, if you don't have anything else in the game and then you put it into a game full of CC, it will have thrown it like way back in the catalog somewhere random. So what you either want to do is you want to close Body Shop and go back into the game with all your CC and run it. Or I think somebody told me that you could take whatever the newest hair you have and put it in there and it will keep the position. I don't know. If anybody has questions about that, you can ask me later. I don't want to really go off on a tangent.
You can manually edit in the Binks resource. You can manually edit the sort index value, or you can use Outfit Organizer.
You used to have to do those individually in SimPU, which was a pain, but
Yes.
I have Pick and Mix Sim's Outfit Organizer, which allows you to change it in that, so that makes it easier. However, I use 46 colors, so that would take me too long. So what I usually do is I just switch to my game that has all the hairs that I use in it, and it plops it right at the front of the catalog. But I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch while I do 46 recolors. No way. that would be torture. I would not do that to you guys. So now, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new project. And then you're going to just select the same hair. And it's that way, you won't have other random textures in there with like the color map and everything. So you're going to start a new one, and I'm just going to call this one Recolors. We'll call it whatever you want. Okay. So, yeah. Now what I usually do is I go back in my history to where before I flattened the image, and I usually save this as a PSD just in case I ever need it. I'm really meticulous about keeping backups because I always find that I end up needing something later and I didn't, think of keeping it. I didn't have the foresight to keep it. So, oh God, where's my projects? Okay, this is where I was keeping my
Purgatory.
Okay. And I usually just call it the name of the hair, so New Sea Stardust 3 to 2, and then I put the texture I used to put IO, and I save it as that. So now I have the PSD with all the layers in case I ever need to go back to it. I probably won't, and now what you do is make sure only the hair layers are showing and not the color map or the alpha, and you go to Layer, Flatten Image, and you save it. You can save it. Sometimes I save it as a PNG, but you're saving over a bitmap, so just save it as a BMP. And what I do is I call it New Sea Stardust 3 to 2 IO base. So I know that's my base texture. I save that. Okay, now you want to close everything. And you want to open your base texture again. Now this is where we start using the actions. Before you even apply your colors, you want to record an action for saving over all of the textures, because it's a pain to have to save each time you do a new color, to have to save over 6 textures. You can make Photoshop do that for you with one action. Digital Angels actually taught me how to do this, because I didn't even know how to do it. I was using a different method of importing the texture as a DDS through SimPE, which is also a great way to do this, but I was having trouble with it for some reason. It was making weird white dots show up on my hairs, so I just decided to go back to the old school body shop way. If your hair has like 70 textures, like one older one I did was, you do just want to use that method. Poppet has a tutorial on how to do the DDS method, which I will link later in the tool shed. Because I'm not going to show you every single method for doing. I'm just going to show you how to do it through Body Shop for now, because I think that's how. I mean, that's how people originally did it, and that's probably how most people do it. You don't need to use SimPE for this. Okay, so what you're going to do is, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to save the base texture. Oh, where did it go? Oh, documents. Okay, you're going to save it in your new documents project folder. See the one that says Recolors? You're going to save it over the first one, the adult. Then you're going to close your base, because you want it to have no history states. You're going to be using the history states to jump back to the beginning, so it automatically does that for you. I don't really know why you have to do it that way, but that's what you do. So I'm going to open my, too many things here. I'm going to open my base again, and I'm going to run my first color action. I usually start with Pooklets Naturals. So the first color I'm going to use is Dynamite. So if you have your color actions installed here, just click on it and you hit play. So now I have a black hair. This is Dynamite. That's what that looks like. And now you want to record the saving action. So I usually go up to a separate little group here. I call it Meep, because I call everything Meep. And you want to create a new action. And you just call it saving action or whatever's, just it doesn't matter what you call it as long as you know what it is. And now the record button is lit up, so you know it's recording. So you do save. You do Control-Shift-S for save. You go back to Documents, EA Games, Projects. Let me just do it. And you're going to go backwards to save your color over everything. Again, I don't know why that is, but that's the way I was taught to do it, and that's what works. So you start with the young adult, and you save it over the young adult. And see where it says saving action, it just put a step in. So that's your first step in your action. You're going to keep doing that. You're going to go backwards. You're going to go to teen, save it over teen. And then you're going to go to toddler, save it over toddler. And elder, save it over that. Child, save it over that. Make sure you're saving over the hair texture and not the alpha, because that'll mess it up. And now you're on you're back at the adult one again. You have to save it over that again because it's still blonde. You want the black color. Okay, so now that you're done with that, you're going to go in your history tab and you're going to go back to the very beginning.
You need to stop recording the action first, right?
No, you don't. You actually do that as part of the action so that it automatically jumps back and you don't have to do it. So,
okay.
Yep, see how the action panel, let me try to drag it out. Oops, not what I want to do. It says select snapshot. That means it's going right back to a certain point in the history. You're going back to the beginning. So now you hit stop. to stop recording your action. So now you have an action to save everything after you run a color.
And then revert back to the volatile.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
If you don't have color actions, if you can't use... Oh, wait. No, you wouldn't be able to use the saving action anyway if you didn't... I'll talk about that in a minute. Now I'm going to show you... you refresh it. And now it should be in the black color on every age. Now, Body Shop doesn't let you put long tooltips in, and it's a pain. So I usually end up having to re-tooltip everything later. But also, when you export recolors to your saved Sims folder, it gives them a bunch of hex numbers. It's complete nonsense. So you're going to have to rename those files later, and I'll show you how to do that. But you want to just put a tooltip with your color name or whatever in it for now. So I'm putting Dynamite, so I know it's Dynamite. Now you hit Import to Game. And where that file goes is under EA Games, The Sims 2, Saved Sims. See? This file here. It put a bunch of numbers before it, and it says the name of the project. That's not helpful. So it's just going to generate a bunch. All your recolors are going to have gobbledygook names. So I'm going to show you how to do that later. So now, when I want to do a different color.
Before you move on, quick question.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
So if you have, what is the advantage of doing this as opposed to just opening up all of the hair texture files and applying applying them as a batch, like applying Dynamite or Shrapnel as a batch action?
I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that means.
So it would apply the same action to all 6 textures once they're opened.
Oh, really? I didn't know you could do that. This is the way I've always done it. I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't work with the saving action that you recorded, but yeah, I mean, I have always done, like, especially with skins, because skins have so many textures. They have 40 some. So well, I've always applied the actions in batches.
With the skins, wouldn't you just want to do those with SimPE though? Because I think Body Shop
because
texture quality.
Well, if it's a darker skin, it's going to mangle it. Just so you would have to manually replace the texture anyway. But what you can do is open the all of the export the skin tones, make your edits, and then apply the batch and save the textures in a project folder, and just manually replace them.
Maybe. Well, you have a new version of Photoshop, and I have a really, really old one, so I don't know that you can even do that with mine.
I know you can do it with CS6. I'm not sure with CS5.
Honestly, I have no idea. So if I'm teaching you guys a really old-fashioned, roundabout way of doing this, I'm sorry. But
it's fine. Can you go to File and see if there's an Automate?
There is.
Automate. Batch.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be done with CS5.
Oh. Source folder import. Oh. Honestly, I have never done this before, so I have no idea how it works. So I'm just gonna show you guys how I do it this way, but maybe we can try and figure that out later.
Okay. We can put a pin in that for another workshop.
Yeah. But I've never played around with that. I have no idea. So this is just what I learned to do. But Okay, so I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go on to a different color. Usually I just go down the list, but you know, I'm gonna just do an unnatural color just to show you guys. So I'm gonna do Afterburner. So I'm gonna play that. Now I'm gonna go back up to the saving action at the top here and hit play. It takes a little bit of time, but and you see it went right back to volatile. So
That's slick.
you go back into Body Shop and you load your project. Oh, wait a minute.
It didn't do the young adult hair or the adult hair.
Oops. All right, let me try this again. Maybe I messed up. I could have messed up my saving action, or it could have been because I didn't have the project loaded. So let me just try this. That again. Saving action. Yeah, I think I messed up the saving action. I forgot to save it as Okay, what I can do though, I think I can add to the action instead of having to do it over again. So let me delete the. No, let me.
Yeah, you just add another step to it.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I goofed. I didn't mean to do that. So let me. I can delete that part, and now I can record.
It's unchecked. That last save is unchecked. Is that important?
Oh, that might be why.
That's what Grin said. Grin said that.
Okay.
He noticed that. That might have been the issue.
Oops. Okay. Let me see if that's what. Yep, that was the adult one that I accidentally unchecked. Okay, so let's try this again. Let me run Afterburner. And now go back to my saving action. Okay.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Grin, for pointing that out.
There's always something in these workshops. Something.
Oh, I know, huh? Okay, so then I want to just type in Afterburner. And then
Hey,
You're welcome.
It's a learning.
Oh, we heard you say you're welcome.
Oh, look
it
at
worked.
Okay, so let me just do like a couple more colors just to show you. Let me go back to the naturals.
Yeah, you didn't hear it when I tried to say it.
Explosive. And run my saving action.
It looks like. Okay, yeah, it is explosive.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's just the texture that makes it look a little bit. I don't know, different. Explosive is the middle red one, right?
No, it's the dark red.
Dark. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I have 3 recolors. I'm just going to show you with that. Like that's all I need for now because, like I said, I have my my finished recolors from when I actually retextured the hair. I have I have the 34 that I use in my game. Actually, I might have wanted to show you the gray because I don't really play elders, so I don't use gray hair in my game unless I'm taking previews of like an elder outfit. I don't let my Sims age. I really just like I don't play much but adults, but that's I just do. Half the time I'm just taking pictures of my Sims anyway. Let me see my projects.
Same. My Sims are like 95% adults.
Yeah. I mostly I play, you know, there's fictional characters that I play as, so they're just adults and I don't have them age and I haven't really had them have kids or anything. Like I said, most of the time I'm just taking pictures because I like to do that. And when I do play, I just play them as immortal adults. Oh, okay, I do have my grays in here. Okay. All right, never mind then. So now I've got Close this. Close that. So now if you go into your Save Sims folder, you have your recolors here. But see how they have these ridiculous names that you have no, it doesn't say explosive or dynamite or afterburner. So I just take them and I put them in a temporary folder. And I use Clean Installer because it lets you look at the textures and change the file name. I don't know if you, I mean, you use that to install lots and Sims. So I'm guessing most of you would have.
It's a very handy, robust tool.
I use it to organize and go through stuff.
I mean, I do it a different way, but yeah, go for it. This is interesting.
All right,
let's learn a new technique.
I'll show you how I do it, and I'll post a link later in case anyone doesn't have the program. But what I do with Clean Installer is I open it up, choose directory. I have to go down to Browse, and then I have to go to my temporary folder. Where is that? I have Meep2, and Meep3. Okay. Now see, it comes up. It shows you the tooltip: afterburner, dynamite, and explosive. And it shows you the texture. And it shows you type, hair color. I don't know what this MD5 number is. I have no clue. It shows you the file name. So this one is Afterburner. I want to change my file name so I know it's Afterburner. So I rename it, and I usually just put Thea, and then the name of the hair, New Sea Stardust 3 to 2, Afterburner.
Would this work with clothing recolors too?
Yep. This works with Clean Installer will open anything. You can open objects with it.
This is a good way to dedupe as well.
To do what?
Deduplicate. So if you have duplicate files, that MD5, if you sort it by that, you can find duplicate files and just delete them out. It's great.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. All right, so what I usually do is I just copy the beginning of that, hit Control-C, and I put OK, and then I rename this, I paste, and then just put dynamite. Because I usually have 46 I have to do, so
Have you used the bulk rename utility program ever?
I use that all the time, but for this, you don't know, because it just gives it a random hex number, you don't know what the actual contents of that file is. You have no idea what they are unless you open them up and look in the texture. And instead of opening it up in SimPE individually, it's easier to just open it in something like Clean Installer that will show you all the textures. Oh, see, now since I renamed it, it's not showing it, but if I were to do it...
I guess I'm so used to, like, numericals, so I just name everything, like, 1 through whatever, or, you know, I just do base colors now that's all I name them. But yeah, 46 colors, yeah, you have to know what you're looking at.
It's different when I do clothing recolors, because what I do is I actually import the textures in SimPE. So I make empty packages with Body Shop. So I have recolors, and then I put those with the gobbledygook numbers in bulk rename utility, and I just have it name it Thea and whatever the name of the clothing is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then if I name each one after like a color or something, I change that as I go along, and then I open it up in SimPE and replace the texture that way. But we can always do some other kind of workshop on clothes too. Okay, so I'm not worried about these right now because I have a complete folder of all of the recolors. This isn't all of them. This is 39 of them. It's the 34 recolors that I use, and then the grays, which I don't usually use, but I want to show you how I bin them. So I don't know if you all have Cat's hair binner, but I put links in the laboratory. It makes binning so much easier. You can do it with Wardrobe Wrangler, but it's a little more involved. And you used to have to do it with SimPE, which was I don't even know how to do that. Like I started creating and doing hair like well after all this other stuff was out.
It's a pain with SimPE. You have to change the.
I'm sure.
One of the values in the GZPS.
Oh, jeez.
It's
Oh yeah,
completely counterintuitive.
All that stuff, yeah. Now, what I do is, the reason why I see all my file names have 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D is because I put them in families to use them in my own game. But when I upload them, I don't put them in families because everybody has a different preference when it comes to that. What familying does is it makes it connect each recolor of a family, a black, a brown, a blonde, a red, and a gray, so that when you switch to a different color bin, it keeps the same hairstyle. And it doesn't go back to a Maxis hair. If it's not familied, it goes back to a Maxis hair. People don't want to keep, let me see, where's my, Pooklet's colors. Where's Pooklet's natural colors? Oh, this has Gigi's and Io's colors in it too, but the families are dynamite, depth charge, incendiary, explosive, and pipe bomb, and then shrapnel, safety, fuse, volatile, pyrotechnic, and mail bomb. And then family 3 is landmine, fission, grenade, comburn, and time bomb. I don't use anything in family 3 but fission. So I don't, I family mine differently, and then I don't family mine at all when I upload them, so that people can just use the binner and do it their own way. If it's already been color binned and not family binned, you can still use the binner again to family bin them.
I'm not a big fan of comburant.
Oh, I don't like that color either, honestly. It doesn't look very natural to me. It's
just
yucky. It's like not like unnatural. It's
I don't know how to
almost
describe
unnatural. Yeah, if I use
Can you
unnatural hair in my Sims, it's like it's gotta be like a bright pink or a bright purple and not like a almost natural color.
Can you throw that JPEG in the tool shed?
Have I tried what?
Can you throw that JPEG of the families into the tool shed?
Oh, okay, sure. Hold on 1 second. Let's see, where is that? Ah, tool shed. Okay.
Plus.
1 second. Oh, that's not it. References. Oh god, I have swatches of all the different color actions in here, so I can refer to them. I have so many, but this also has Digital Angels colors and Io's colors in it, so
Yep.
You can
Very helpful.
look at them. Okay, so I'm going to show you both ways of doing it. If you don't, like I said, I don't put mine in families for uploading because everybody does it differently. They don't want to use all the colors that that Pooklet uses in family 3 or whatever. So here, you can you load a color into black, brown, blonde, red, and then gray if you use gray. You can attach one gray. If you family it, you can attach just one gray for all of them. But I'm going to uncheck that because I'm going to show you that how I do it that way first. If you want to, like I said, if the hair doesn't have like the toddler and child ages, you can remove them by using this. Because if the mesh, it doesn't exist in the mesh, it goes to a Maxis hair. And if you don't want a whole bunch of just random Maxis hairs cluttering up the catalog, the child catalog, you want to remove it. Okay, so you go to, hold on. No, that's not it. And then you load, I'm going to load Dynamite, depth charge, incendiary, explosive, and then I'm going to click separate gray. Sometimes I think the way Almighty Hat does their hairs, they have the gray inside the black file. I don't do that. I do a separate gray because people like to don't want. What if they didn't want the specific gray color they chose with that color? So I just do a separate one. So I'll do pipe bomb with that, and that will bin it. It just takes a couple minutes.
That's going to bin all 5 of the textures.
You don't need to do 5 of them at a time if you're not doing a family. If you say you just have like a black and a brown hair and you want to bin those in the black and the brown bins, uncheck same family and just load the black and the brown and hit bin. This one, I'm just doing 5 of them at once just to so I can show you what it does, and then I'm going to show you what it does when they're familyed also. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my downloads folder. And I don't need this anymore. I'm going to take the colors that I just binned and put them in there. I'm going to clear out my cache files just in case. Sometimes the thumbnails mess up. Okay, so I'm going to run Body Shop. Now, if you're wondering how I personally bin my hairs, this is just the, this one. This is a chart of just all the colors that I make, that I upload. I do this specific set because I like to include all of Puklet's colors, all of Io's, all of Lilith's, and then I do a few random ones, like I do Digi's, Lucifer, and Varin, and then I do FurbyQ's Sunspot, and then I have custom colors that I don't bin. For my own game, what I do is I have different families. Like, the first 2 are the regular Puklet 1 and 2 families, but for 3, these are the colors I use. And then these are the colors I use.
Okay, so you're using 5. Instead of that god-awful comburant, you're using
yeah. So you can
Lucifer, Fish. Oh, those are all Digi's colors. Then 4 is all
Lucifer and
Io's colors plus Molotov.
Fission is Puklet's and Sunspot is FurbyQ's.
Oh.
And then for Family 4 is Io's colors, but except Molotov instead of Bastet, because Bastet is unnatural for me. I don't bin Bastet when I upload it because it's like a fire truck red. I don't consider that a natural hair color.
Not a fan of Bastet.
I actually love that color, but I use it as an unnatural. One of my main Sims has that color because she's based on a character from Deception 4, and she has that color in that game. I've been on naturals for my own game because the custom hair turn-on is broken, and it doesn't work. So if I want to use hair chemistry as a turn-on, like my favorite Sim, Lagrina, has white hair. I bin her hair as as blonde, so that her boyfriend has the blonde hair turn on, and he's extra attracted to her because her hair is in the blonde bin. So it's just that's why I bin the unnaturals. Also, so I don't have 15 colors per hair in the custom bin. My custom bin I save for gradients and streaked hairs and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent there. Now I'm going to show you how the hairs behave when you have them binned but not familied. Okay, so you open up your hair, and this is your brown bin. So I have depth charge. That's the only, I just put that first family in. Well, it's not a family. I didn't family them, but I put one set of colors in. Now, when you switch to the black bin, it just goes back to Max's hair because it's not connected to it in a family. Same with blonde, red. And now when you switch to gray, Oh, that's because I but the colors are in the custom bin for gray. Usually I do it so that elders will keep their colors when they age up, but I did something wrong here, I think. But that's how it usually is when I upload them, so that when you age your sim up to elder, they still have the color. But if you do a family and you add a gray in, they'll turn gray when they age up. So now if I want to do a family, I'll go to the hair binner and I'll click on same family for all 4 colors and 1 gray for all 4 colors, so I can have a separate, because I have the grays in a separate file. So I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to do family 2 this time. I'm going to do shrapnel, safety fuse, volatile, pyrotechnic, and smoke bomb. Still have these in here. Let me delete those. Also, when you bin, you have the option to make backup files. I always keep the backup files just in case I need them for anything. If I decide I want to bin hairs differently or who knows what, I just keep the unmodified files. It will show up as a .back file, and so it's like an inactive file format. So if you ever want to bring that back to a package file, the only way I know how to use it is to use bulk renamer. If anybody else knows how to change file extensions some other way, do it that way, but that's how I do it. But anyway, that's just so you have backup files of the unmodified hair.
You can do it manually. Just rename back to package.
I guess. I thought I tried that once and it didn't work. But anyway, I'm just going to show you what this set does when you run it. Like maybe 13 gigabytes of just cast content. It's a little crazy. But it only takes like about 5-6 minutes. But yeah, I have a ridiculous amount of Create a Sim stuff. It's CC in general is kind of an addiction for me. I kind of hoard it.
Yeah.
But, and most of that is my own hairs because I use so many colors. And but I don't know. I just really like custom content. Okay, so now when you open up your hair bin. Okay, this is safety fuse. Now it should be family linked to shrapnel if I click on black. And now when I click on blonde, it should be family linked to volatile and then to pyrotechnic in red. And then when you age them up to elder, it should go to smoke bomb. Now, not everybody likes to use every single color in the family that the creator chose, and that's why I don't do the family and I leave that up to the end user. And not everybody bins unnaturals, so I don't bin my unnaturals before I upload them. But I think that's about everything. So does anyone have any questions? Because I'm sure that was a lot, and if you're new to this, it's probably not that easy to understand.
That was excellent.
That was very informative.
Yes.
You think so? Okay. I don't know how good of a teacher I really am. I don't usually do stuff like this, but
you did great, Fia.
Yeah.
It was great, Fia.
Thank